At the factory, we adjust all machines with 1/8 inch thick plexiglass, which we lay on the platen. Then we take a screen, which we have checked against glass. Glass is presumed to be flat, and actually we use more than one screen because even though these are very tight screens and they pass the glass test, we have found sometimes the screens still are not absolutely flat. If they're not flat, that means this roller is not perpendicular to the square bar. Once we know we have a flat screen, we put the screen in the press, come down on the plexiglass, and when we touch the mesh, we can feel if we're on contact. If the mesh is spongy, then we know there's a pitch, and that means the machine would have to be adjusted. These machines are all factory adjusted so that the screen is on contact on the plexiglass. What that means for you as a customer, when you have your screen resting on the plexiglass, is that in your shop, when you're printing, you just finished a job and you have adhesive on your platen. What you do now is you probably remove that adhesive before you put a positive down because you don't want to get adhesive on your positive. What we do is simply lay the plexiglass over the adhesive, so we've eliminated the cleaning work. That adhesive actually helps us. It keeps the plexiglass from moving. Now we can put our positive on top of the plexiglass. So we bring the screen down, we're going to register on contact. That gives us the best quality registration. Once all of our screens are registered, we simply remove the plexiglass and the positive, and when we bring the screen down, the screen will be above the platen by the thickness of the plexiglass because the color arm is resting on the off contact bolt. If I push on the mesh now, it's deflecting 1/8 of an inch. T-shirts are 1/32 of an inch typically, so that gives us a true off contact when we're printing of 3/32 of an inch. You get better quality printing when you print off contact, and you get better quality registration when you register on contact. So the plexiglass is a great way to find out if your machine is adjusted properly so you'll get the best quality printing. Previously we talked about all heads down. This registration gate has 3 bolts, 2 registration bolts and an off contact bolt. We tell our customers never touch these bolts. If you touch those bolts, the screen printing gods are coming after you. And we say that in jest because if you turn this bolt after the machine has been factory adjusted, you lose the factory adjustment. The color arms will not come down exactly where they did before. If you raise the off contact bolt or drop it down, that's going to affect the pitch of the screen. Once you've gone through the effort of putting that plexiglass on there, and you've got all this right, you never want to touch those again. So when we set up, we bring the color arm down. When you put the screen in, press. Now I have to turn these black knobs. We turn them until we feel they engage. And then our practice here is a 1/4 of a turn more, and that's all. And that 1/4 of a turn is enough to secure the screen in the channel clamp. What I find a lot of shops do is they tend to over crank on these. They turn the knobs very, very hard. By doing that, the top flange and the bottom flange underneath will tend to pitch out, and then that creates a pitch to your screen. We want to keep this screen parallel to that platen at all times, so do not over torque those knobs. If you over torque them, you may have a hard time loosening them. Then people tend to put vice grips on the threads, crush the threads, and they're just going from bad to worse. Another little tip, when the machines come, at least our machines, we have a little drop of oil on all these threaded rods, such as where you see the black knobs and where they have the micro. However, steel can oxidize, so it's a good idea after you get your press is to put a drop of oil on any threaded rod once every 3 months to prevent any oxidation on the steel threads. When you want to print garments that are thicker than a t-shirt, rather than loosening up the bolts back here to raise the channel clamp against the backing plate or lowering it to adjust to a different thickness, a simpler method is just take a paint stick or a ruler and raise the screen height that way. Same thing if you're going to print a golf shirt that has a placket like I'm wearing. The placket is thicker than the image area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of neoprene on the platen to raise my print height so the placket falls off and is below the height of my image. so I can print the image without interference of the placket. Now I've got to raise the screen height to accommodate that, and all I do is put a paint stick or a ruler in there, so my screen height will be higher. When I'm all finished printing and I remove the screen, just remove the stick. No bolts, no fat. That's it, simple. So that's how you adjust. Each manufacturer has features of their own, and you want to look at their manual to see what features are on your machine. For example, with our spring tension control feature, which are these silver nuts, we can change the tension on the springs so we can leave the screen any place we want without the screen flying up or falling down. And with this feature, we can use screens that are large or small and adjust for the size and weight of that screen based on screen tension control. That happens to be a unique feature of our press. We have a little adjustment in the back of the color arm which controls how high up, what angle the screen will be. So each manufacturer has its own offering, and you want to look at that manual to see what features you bought. I hope this little tape helps you understand your press better and get more performance, better performance out of the equipment that you bought. If you have any questions, give us a call.